Hello, I'm Tom, and in today's video we'll be discussing which type of rooftop support frame is best for your project. As an M&E contractor, you might not be quite clear on which is the best type of frame to specify when it comes to supporting your AHU or chiller frames. Even seemingly small details can actually make a large difference to what frame you go with. Here are the 7 main points that I'll be discussing. Number 1, options available. Number 2, unit size and weight. Number 3, roof pitch. Number 4, unit dimensions. Number 5, information from the structural engineers on the strength of the roof. Number 6, supply chain. And number 7, budget. Our first consideration is what options are available for the type of frame you choose. So firstly, we have channel-based or strut-based systems. These have been used in the industry for donkey's years, and in a lot of applications they're very good. They're simple, lightweight and easy to put together. However, they aren't the most heavy duty. There are off-the-shelf modular strut type frames, but these are often using single channel and therefore only really suitable for lighter duty applications. For medium duty applications, we would recommend moving up to a back-to-back channel, as it provides a lot more strength. Secondly, there are traditional steel profiles, such as I-beams, PFC, box section, that can be welded together to create a very heavy-duty support frame. There are a couple of benefits to these types of frames. Not only can they support very heavy loads, but they're also useful where long spans are required, or in particular, if a structural engineer requires the frame to be welded to the building steelwork. And thirdly, you have the modular options, such as Cicloframo. These are a fantastic product because not only can they support heavy loads, the fact that they're modular makes them easy to adjust on site. You have the added benefit of them being already hot dip galvanised, so there's no welding, no hot works permits, no waiting around on site for a week for your frame to turn up from the galvanisers. In addition, there are multiple interfacing components available for the modular systems, meaning that they can either sit on a roof with the rubber foot, or they can tie into building steelwork. Moving on, I'm going to talk about unit type and weight, and how this affects what frame you choose. The type and weight of the unit are one of the most important points that you need to consider when choosing your frame. A lighter unit, say up to a ton or so, may work perfectly well on a single channel frame. Anything over that, and we'd be looking to move to either back-to-back strut or perhaps even a modular system like Cicloframo. The benefits of the modular system, obviously, is that they can carry far heavier loads, and the strength of the actual box section means that any load imposed upon it by the unit will be more evenly distributed throughout the frame. The weight of the unit is important because this will quite often determine how many feet you need based on the maximum allowable point load on your roof. The type of base frame on the unit is a consideration, as this could affect where the cross members on your support frame need to lie. And it's up to you to decide if you need to change them on site, which is going to be the best option, because often a modular system is quicker to adjust on site. Thirdly, the roof pitch. Now, whatever type of frame you choose, this is important because it will have an impact on the legs of the frame. Naturally, if your roof is at an angle, some of your legs are going to have to be longer than the others. A typical roof pitch could be anywhere from 0.5 to 6.5 degrees, and this will change what type of feet you require. We can either have angled feet, or we can have packing pieces underneath a regular rubber foot. Either way, these are cut at different angles to make sure that it's most suitable for your roof. Pitched roofs really highlight one of the main benefits of the modular type frames. Because imagine if you'd been told there was a 5-degree pitch on a roof, you'd had a traditional C-section frame welded up, delivered to site, only to find that it was actually 6 degrees. Now your feet are out, your leg heights are out, and you're going to need to send that frame back for remanufacturing and refinishing. With a modular frame, you simply cut and adjust on site. It goes without saying that the dimensions of the unit are pretty important when choosing what frame you're going to use to support it. Whatever you do, you need to make sure that the strength of the profile is enough to take the weight of the unit. For example, if you had a 4-ton unit that was, say, 2 metres long, 1.5 metres wide, you'd be likely approaching the yield limit of a strut-based profile. However, if the unit was twice the length, this would spread the load out over a much greater area, therefore reducing the stress on the profile. It is important to note, though, that you will likely need to add in more feet at that point. It's also important to consider what distances you may have to span. For instance, if you don't have a load-bearing roof and you're connecting to steel protruding from the roof, you may have a 3, 4, 5 metre span until the next steel. In these instances, you will almost always have to step up to a heavy-duty modular section. Next, we're going to talk about what information you need to get from the structural engineers. Before choosing your AHU frame, you need to gather as much information as you can from the structural engineers about the build-up of the roof. For instance, any pressure limits, any point loads, whether the roof is actually load-bearing or not, or whether we're going to have to connect to steel work protruding from the roof. Wind, ice, snow loads, all these kind of things need to be considered. Though this might seem like overkill, it is actually important. One thing that we find is that usually AHU frames, because of the weight of the AHUs, don't require wind load calculations. However, we've had some instances recently where they have been specifically requested. The weakest point in the build-up of the roof is often the insulation, usually a Kingspan foam type material. In order for you to be able to choose a suitable frame that won't damage the roof surface, you need to know the compressive strength of that insulation so you can ensure whatever frame you choose has the required amount of feet and spreads the load out evenly. It's all a balancing act. In the unlikely event that you did actually hit the limits of the insulation, you may be able to reduce the total weight of the frame by moving, say, from a modular Framo type to a back-to-back channel type. The only issue there is that you may actually have to increase the number of feet, therefore increasing the weight of the frame. If for some reason you were nearing the limits of your insulation, you could change the frame to reduce the weight. For example, if you were using a modular Framo type system, you could move to a back-to-back channel system, therefore reducing the overall load imposed on the roof. On top of that, you could also change your foot size. So you may change from a 350mm foot to a 500mm foot, which will help spread the load out over a greater area. That brings us on to your supply chain. A lot of the time, what you come up with and the solution you choose will be based on relationships that you have with your suppliers, who you know best, who you trust the most. But it is worth doing your research, because different suppliers offer different solutions. Some may mainly stick to strut-based, channel-based systems, others may stick to mainly modular steelwork, and there's still some companies out there who do nothing but welded traditional steel. So, if you take anything from this point, it's that you don't always have to stick to what you know. Look around, there might just be a better solution. Finally, your budget. it's undoubtedly a major consideration, because how much or how little money you have in the project for these frames may determine whether you go with a simple channel-based system or a modular Framo type system. The fact is, the modular systems will cost more, but with that added cost, you get the extra strength and the flexibility of being able to adjust easily and quickly on site. If it's a traditional welded frame that you're going for, you have to factor in the cost of skilled welders and galvanising or painting, in addition to the cost of the materials. At the end of the day, there's probably a few types of frame that will do the job. But, as ever, you might as well choose the one that's going to be most effective and most efficient for you and your customer. Thanks for watching. I really hope you found it useful, and we'll see you next time.